Look, all I'm saying is, if you're going in through the exit wound to extract a bullet, you're doing it wrong.
Tôi chỉ thầu lý cái chỉ cần yêu, biểu示你同埋嗰條命都可以犧牲。
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Jackie Robinson, and this is my review of Color of the Game. Wong Jing produced and wrote this third entry in the Color trilogy, a local remake of Polish director Krzysztof Kieslowski's Three Colors trilogy. I'm joking, of course, but admit it, you'd totally watch that. I know I would. But let's move on. Color of the Game is actually the third installment in Wong Jing's Color trilogy, started in 2003 with Color of the Truth, and followed by 2005's Color of the Loyalty. As much as people might criticize Wong Jing, and I do occasionally include myself in that group, he can and does produce movies that garner not just commercial success, but critical acclaim. The first two installments of this trilogy are included in that particular subset of his work, and rightfully so. That said, they're not going to cost Francis Ford Coppola any sleep, but neither did The Godfather Part 3, and frankly, it should have. Color of the Game tells the story of a mob boss, played by Simon Yam, who's been given a job he'd rather not do. But this is organized crime, so you either do the job, or the job gets done to you. Which is pretty much the same way politics works, but so what? Speaking of which, there's really not a lot to be gained from explaining the story to you, a sentiment that Wong Jing obviously shares, given the script. Now, I don't mean that to be as negative as it sounds, because the best way to approach Color of the Game is as a movie, not as a story. I know I've been saying that a lot lately, but it's been true a lot lately. Maybe I should start saying that I've been propositioned by actresses a lot. Because actually I have, although why don't you go f*** yourself isn't really what I was hoping for. Close, but no cigar, so to speak. Good grief, where were we? On a lot of levels, The Color of the Game is a throwback to the so-called golden era of Hong Kong action cinema, with a cast of well-known faces including Simon Yam, Wei Lee, Kenny Wong, and Jordan Chan. There's an implicit blast from the past. It also helps that the narrative and a lot of the details seem wonderfully nostalgic, familiar, and comfortable. It was fun watching a movie that seemed like it should have had film scratches and burnt-in subtitles. And I mean that in a good way, because in a lot of ways, Color of the Game is both a celebration and a continuation of the Hong Kong action/gangster genre. But if I'm honest, not all of those ways need to be brought forward. There was something charming about truckloads of AK-wielding ninjas in the 1980s, but I'm not so sure we still need to be watching them in 2017. The same could be said of some of the special effects in the movie. At least in the 80s, a fake explosion was still, on some level, a real explosion. But now they can just use computers to make production faster and safer and cheaper. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily make them better. Neither does an early shot of a rat getting caught in a cage. You could use that metaphor to drive railroad spikes. But like so many other times while watching this movie, I could simply drop the omnipotent explainer, it's a Wong Jing movie. No one in their right mind goes to McDonald's and then complains about the quality of the food, unless they're a complete idiot. But there's a reason that Wong Jing is still making movies 40 years after starting his career, and I'm really not mad at him. Now, I know that it seems as though I'm being negative, but there really is a lot to like, or at least enjoy, about Color of the Game. Because, if we're being fair, the budget for Color of the Game probably wasn't the biggest one of the year. But for the money that was spent, the movie looks pretty good. The cinematography is actually quite nice. In addition to some golden age actors, there's also Johnny To regulars Eddie Chung Siu Fai and Lam Su. They bring their own thing to the movie, as does director Kam Kawai. I really enjoyed his directorial debut, iGirl, at least until the third act when it turned into a Wong Jing movie. I mention that because there's a scene in Color of the Game featuring Lam Su that raises this film at least a couple of notches above where it should be. It's a very, very good scene, reminiscent of Johnny To, without being a slavish regurgitation. I'll credit Kam Kawai for making this scene as good and as memorable as it is for all the right reasons. That scene is why I'm gonna buy a DVD of this movie. And as long as we're talking about unexpected achievements, Philip Mwanlong has a role in the movie and he was the action director. The final fight scene was really impressive to me for two reasons that are normally mutually exclusive. The fight is simultaneously very cinematic and very realistic. Yes, it's a movie fight scene, so it's not absolutely realistic, but I'm speaking more in terms of basic physics, gravity, and plausibility. We don't get a lot of that these days, so I wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you because I really enjoyed that fight scene. But I could say that about Color of the Game in its entirety. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's nostalgia-inducing. Now, while the story itself may be less than stellar, the acting, the directing, the cinematography are all good reasons to watch this movie, as long as you pay for the privilege. I don't care if it's a movie about gangsters, don't steal this movie, or any other ones. When this movie gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a copy of a Blu-ray or a DVD, because that's what I do. And as long as we're talking about money, please click on my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can make a significant difference in my life. And that's saying something. If you enjoyed my review, please let me know, and if you didn't, let me know. Although those people don't really need much encouragement, do they? If you enjoyed the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.